Frodo was chilled to the marrow. After a while the song became clearer, and with dread in his heart, he perceived that it had changed into an incantation.
Cold be hand and heart and bone, and cold be sleep under stone, never more to wake on stony bed, never till the sun pales and the moon is dead. In black wind the stars shall die, and still on gold he let them lie, till the dark Lord lifts his hand over dead sea and withered land.
Welcome to Tales of Ada, where we discuss and explore Middle-earth. Today we break away from the great tales of elves of the First Age, and we explore a darker topic, the Barrow Wights, and their homes of the Barrow Downs. But before we cover their history, we must see what exactly are these undead creatures. Well, as we will see later on in this video, they were at least partly of the devising of the Witch King of Angmar, during his war with the Dunedain of the North. These bone-chilling phenomenons were described to be great, tall, dark figures, which seemed to have two eyes lit with a pale glow, and seemed to come from some remote distance. In the Fellowship of the Ring chapter, Fog on the Barrow Downs, Frodo is seized by one of these Barrow Wights, and the Wight's touch is described as icy and cold, and stronger than iron. Their voices were deep and hollowly cold and icy. The Wights are evil spirits of some sort, and though similar, they are likely not Nazgul, but some other lesser wrath being. There are also no records of them leaving the Barrow Downs, which is an indication that they were probably tied to that place in some way. Now we look at their history. Hundreds of years before any Wights appeared in the Barrow Downs, they were inhabited by the ancients, men of the First Age, the ancestors of the Edain, and these hills were used by them to bury their dead. But soon enough these men died out, and none inhabited the Barrow Downs for thousands of years. In the Second Age this land was mostly abandoned, but for some time it was part of Gil-galad's realm, Lindon. When Elendil and his followers escaped the downfall of Númenor, the faithful under Elendil were given the land of Eriador, and this encompassed the Barrow Downs, or the Tin Gorfad as they were known in Sindarin. The Barrow Downs were revered by the Dunedain of Arnor, and they even buried the dead there. When Arnor split into three lesser kingdoms, Arthedain, Cartelen and Rhudaur, the Barrow Downs became the capital of Cartelen. But after the war with Angmar broke out in 1356 of the Third Age, Cartelen recognized the king of Arthedain to be the real king of Arnor, and so Arthedain and Cartelen held the Weather Hills until 1409, when Angmar's armies destroyed Amansul and took the Weather Hills. The last prince of Cartelen, who is unnamed, fell, and he was buried in the Downs. And there are speculations that Frodo and his companions were trapped in his own tomb. Anyways, soon the Great Plague came out of the south, and of all the northern Dunedain, Cartelen was the most affected, and the folk that dwelt in the Barrow Downs dwindled, and here, seeing victory, the Witch King used an old evil devilry and sent evil spirits to the Barrow Downs, and they drove off the remaining Dunedain. Arthedain was left to confront the of the Witch King, and soon Angmar was also destroyed. But there were few Dunedain left, and the Dunedain kingdom of the north was reduced to rangers, till the return of the king and the fourth age. But on that there is another video on our channel. But as for the Barrow Wights and the land of the Barrow Downs, it was abandoned and none resettled that place of terror, though many tried. So the Barrow Wights went undisturbed for years on end. And then finally, in 3018 of the Third Age, Frodo and his 3 dear companions stepped foot into the dreadful place that is the Barrow Downs, and there, one by one, they were picked off by the Barrow Wights, until only one was left, Frodo. Here we even get some nice creepy Barrow Wight speech, and then Frodo is seized by the Wight. He wakes up in a tomb, and sees his companions laid next to each other, them dressed in white and gold, and upon their throats was a sword. But then a long shriveled arm creeps, ready to end the hobbit's lives. As it reaches for the sword, Frodo Baggins snatched the dagger and cut the gloomy hand. And then the merry rescuer, jolly old Tom Bombadil, is summoned, and so the Wights flee. The 4 hobbits live to tell the tale, and this is where we hear last of the creatures known as the Barrow Wights. They likely vanished or hid after the fall of Barad-dûr and the dominion of men in the Fourth Age. But as for their Barrow Downs and their tombs, Tom Bombadil found 4 daggers for the 4 brave halflings. These were daggers of Westerners made to combat the Witch King himself. The daggers would all achieve great feats. Frodo's dagger would break on Amansul, but he does partially wound the Witch King with it. Merry's dagger would bring the Witch King down along with Eowyn of Rohan, whilst Pippin's dagger would help him kill a troll. And then Sam's dagger. It has no one great feat, but aids its bearer to the end and into the fires of Orodruin. And here is some information on the Barrow Wights and the Barrow Downs. We never see the Barrow Wights in the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings adaptations. Why this is, I do not know, but the Wights do kinda sound similar to the Nazgul, and maybe Peter Jackson didn't want to create a whole new species and location just for one scene, and for it to never be used again. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe.